Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now today's episode, if you've been following along, you know I've been on the pursuit to make it into US Bank's new program for their 4% credit card. But once I've made it, the question becomes, was it worth it? Number two, and most importantly, what am I going to do with my 5% credit card? Now you have one 4% credit card to rule them all. Is it still worth using your cards as well as hunting offers and all that? Well, that is the question we're going to answer today. So of course, if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead, press the subscribe button and let's get to work. Now, a quick refresher for those who might not be familiar. US Bank launched a program very similar to Bank of America's Preferred Rewards. Their US Bank is called Smartly, where if you have $100,000 with them and a savings account, you can then take their base 2% card, the Smartly Rewards card, and it moves up to a 4% card. There are some other tiers you can hit along the way, but I'm always in pursuit for maximum earnings. So hence all the 5% credit cards I have, and hence wanting the 4% tier. So we've got plenty of videos on this. There's an entire US Bank playlist on the main channel if you want to know more. Of course, I did retain my Bank of America Platinum Honor status, which gives you some perks in credit cards as well. So it basically means I'm moving from a 2.62% credit card, what I call a catch-all card, which is for non-category spend, to a 4% catch-all card. And so once you've done that, one, why? But number two, is it worth managing all of these cards for one extra percent? Now, these aren't all my cards, my City One stuff or my actual wallet. These are where I keep my bench, if you will, and I rotate through these cards, when necessary, when I need them. But the goal has always been to get 5% back on everything. That seems to be the cap. You can get into the 6% with the shopper's cash, but there's an annual fee. I don't really like paying annual fees if I can avoid it. So, first of all, was it worth it? Well, yeah, because again, it was a refresher. I did the video switching, over to US Bank. Well, switching is the wrong word because I still retain my Bank of America Platinum Honor status. I just wanted both. So really, you're just talking about two phone calls. One to product change my Cash Plus to a Smartly card because there was no intro offer at the time for the Smartly card. And then number two, another phone call to move half of my IRA assets from Bank of America to US Bank. So yeah, it was more than worth it. Two phone calls sitting here. It's not really the hardest thing to do. So that part taken care of. Now the why, because you're going from a 2.62% card to a 4X card. Was that worth it? And why would you continue to again use all these cards? So to answer the question up front, yes, I'm going to continue to use all of these cards and manage them all. One, because I've learned how to do it and memorize them, so it's not that hard for me anymore. But number two, more importantly and relatable to this, is that I think in times where in this early 2025, when you're probably watching this, everything is more expensive. And some people whine about it. Some people are justified in it. But everywhere you go, things are more expensive. People are complaining about it. They don't know what to do, how to get more money, how to generate more income. So they just kind of complain. But I've always believed that there's actually a lot of easy, free, or almost free money just floating around out there in the world to be had. If you don't believe me, well, you can look no farther than our second channel, Run on the Bank, and the website, ProfitableContent.com. As you know, open a checking account, do a few things, get some money. Open a savings account, get some money. Open a brokerage account, get some money. Open a credit card, get some money. Use your credit card at the right category, get some money. Refer someone, get some money. None of those cost you anything. Maybe there's some account fees, maybe there's an annual fee, but it's usually an arbitrage play, right? Very easy money. But if you want to look outside of our world, well, I got a channel member a while back send me like a promo that Subaru was doing. It was like, if you go to a Subaru dealership and test drive one, they'll give you a $50 gift card. And the knee-jerk reaction is like, that's not really worth my time. But $50 an hour is $100,000 a year, and many people don't make $100,000 a year, so it kind of is worth your time. Again, easy money. There's other things you can do. I used to do these things called user interviews that another channel member put me onto. We sign up to do interviews, and they pay surprisingly well, $50, $75, $100 an hour to do these interviews. It's mostly in gift cards, but it still spends the same. So there's a lot of easy ways to earn money. We could keep going on down the list, and maybe I'd love to know some of yours down below. But what there's not a lot of is materially different money floating around out there. Materially different money would be like your job, right? I have a real job. That is materially different. You could just live off of, your job, your W-2 income, right? Opening credit cards, you cannot. Opening bank accounts, you cannot. But because there's not that many, different material ways to earn money. Granted, yes, there are strategies, but the first rule of those strategies is don't talk about those strategies. So we're not going to talk about them. If you know, you know. We'll assume, people have one job and that kind of thing, right? So that really makes the smaller, seemingly immaterial opportunities matter that much more, like these. Again, they're credit cards, but if you stack enough of them together, you can end up in some materially different money. A while back, in January, every year we do the how much did I take from banks, and in 2024 it was $40,000. Now that breaks down to, like, I'll put it on screen. It was like $9,000 from credit cards, $10,000 from bank promotions, and then almost, I think, $19,000 from referrals. And yes, I understand not everyone can do that in referrals, but even then, if you just got credit cards and bank promotions, and we just round that up to $20,000, that you're getting to materially different. Getting $20,000 extra dollars a year is materially different. And so when you can have the chance, in my opinion, to go from 2.6% to 4%, yes, on paper, it's basically a 1.4% jump, but at the same time, it does matter. How do I know it matters? Well, when I worked in Detroit at Quicken Loans, one of the things we hated the most about return to work wasn't actually returning to work. Being in office wasn't that bad. It was the fact that if you go to the city of Detroit, you had to pay a 1% city tax, and that makes a difference because when we were remote for, the Wuhan flu and everything, we used to get that money back, and it would turn into like $700-800 back on your taxes. Of course, it depends on how much you make. So it mattered. I mean, who wants to pay an extra $8,000-9,000 when they don't have to? If you got a 1-2% raise or merit cost of living, you wouldn't be thrilled. Like, you're not going to be rich, but you'd rather have it than not. Best way to illustrate this is going through the numbers. Now, I just pulled one of my cards, the unlimited cash card, which was my 2.6 card from Bank of America, and what I did last year in it. So I ran $60,000 worth of spend through that thing last year. Now, before you jump out of your seat, I went back and looked at the breakdown. $18,000 of that alone was taxes, right? You're talking about property taxes, and at the time it was 2 houses. Now there's a third. So you're talking about property taxes. You're talking about income taxes. So like 18,000 of it was that. Another good amount of it was, I think 9,000 of it was technically covered financial services, which is bank account funding, which again comes into play on the second channel. So that's not really spend because you're getting all that money back. Good bulk of it was home repairs, which again, with 3 houses, stuff goes wrong. This house was the main project. You buy new construction, it's not actually finished, it turns out. So anyhow, we don't need to break down all the spend. I just didn't want you to, I'm trying to make it as realistic and relatable as possible. This year, it will probably not be $60,000. But anyways, the point being, $60,000 in spend on a 2.6% card is $1,572.45. It was technically $60,017.44. So if you bump that up to 4%, now you're at $2,400.69. I could have rounded that up, but who doesn't love being a child, right? And that's like almost a $900 difference. And again, if we go back to our premise, again, $900 is not necessarily material, but if you take that onto you're trying to earn, $5,000 from credit cards, $10,000 from bank promotions, across the year, to become a materially different amount of money, well, then it does matter. So that's why I think it matters. That's what I intend to do, continue to swap out the cards and continue to upgrade to the highest multiplier. Now, there's definitely an argument to be made, as we said in the beginning, of yes, inflation's a real thing, items costing more is a real thing. I don't know what you're supposed to do about that. Like, you go to the grocery store, you got to get what you got to get, right? You can put some stuff back, but you got to get what you got to get, really. So there's only so much we can do about that. So yes, you could make the argument that, well, your new 1.4x that you gained is canceled out by inflation. Like, yes, but there's not a lot we can do about that, really, on an individual level. So I think it's still a valid argument. The same reason goes into, well, it's not here today, but once Smartly was in effect, I did phone up Bank of America, and they allowed me to product change that unlimited cash to another customized cash card, which is 5.25 back on my top, the category that I choose. So now technically I've got 3 customized cash cards, and I actually had a realization that while the Susan G. Komen one is effectively a customized cash card just with a pink paint job on it for breast cancer awareness, I could probably phone in and see if I could product change this one to the red card, the red customized cash card, and then reapply for the Susan G. Komen card again, effectively getting 4 customized cash cards, and then get a 5th one by going back and getting another unlimited cash card, and then eventually converting it back over. Now, a little bit too much details and off topic. Sometimes Bank of America's uptight about their product changing rules. I got lucky. I don't know if that's a possibility, but I could try it in the pursuit of moving up, because at Platinum Honors, the top category is 5 1/4, not 5, technically a quarter point better. There might be a diminishing returns at a quarter point, but it's a strategy, and it just kind of goes to show you that I'm committed to continuing to use these cards and getting 5% where I can, and still using smartly on the things that I can't get 5% back on. Having a floor of 4% is pretty good. As you can imagine, it also covers the processing fee on paying taxes. So now, where I said I was a bulk of that at $18,000, $20,000 on the unlimited cash was for tax payments. I don't know that I made money. I mean, the income tax, yes, because it's like 1.85% or something processing fee. So you made a tiny amount. Property taxes, no, but at the same time, I'd still feel better using a credit card than plugging my bank account in somewhere or taking time off work to go to a check, right? Drop a check off or whatever. So again, it does help. And, I focus on the 4% tier smartly, but I think this concept applies to everyone. So even if you're moving from a 2X card, like a double cash, and you only give U.S. Bank maybe $5,000 to get to the 2.5% tier, 0.5% increase across the board over the course of a year, I think will make a difference. And as we said, my opinion is what I think. Actually, I don't think it's an opinion. I think we've proven it, having done these videos year over year, of how much you've been able to take from banks. And it's consistently been a material amount of money. Usually 35 to 40,000. I think 45,000 was the best I've done. I understand not everyone can do referrals, but you can still build your own referral network, and we do have a referral solution for those interested in channel memberships. Gotta plug something, right? But the join button down below will tell you more, but essentially it's a Discord server where we're assembling the best bonus hunters in the game to find offers and refer one another. And we do use member referral links in videos and blog posts, and the member gets to keep all that money. The goal is that your membership would just be paid for every year. It's $5 a month, cancel anytime, join on whichever channel is your favorite. But if you started to do that, maximize your credit cards, do some bank promotions, by the end of the year, what doesn't look like material money as you're going through, by the time you get to December every year, you've then generated some materially different money. So, long story long, to answer the question of will I continue to use my 5% cards and still continue to try to build out a stronger setup, the answer is yes. I'm not out of strategies yet. I'm still trying. I'm still trying to apply for things, get the intro offers, and Smartly is a game changer. 1.4x difference doesn't seem like a lot, but considering the low effort to get it, maintain it, and what it does for you, again, 2 phone calls. If I ran 60,000, I hope I don't run $60,000 again. I have no housing projects, knock on wood, coming up for the foreseeable future, 2-3 years hopefully. But famous last words. It's again $900 difference right there for like 2 phone calls and moving some money. So yes, it does matter. I will continue to build out my 5% cards and see how much we can take from banks and how much of that immaterial money we can make material by the end of the year, each year. Plus, it's fun. What else would I talk about? I have to live up to the persona I've created for the blog and the channel. So those are my thoughts on it. Let me know down below what you think. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Not only what you do, but as well as your thoughts on the material versus immaterial and what you do to try to maximize that and get around it. We could get some interesting dialogue going, as well as other strategies and opportunities. I know we brushed over a few, but there are plenty more out there, I'm sure, that we aren't covering. We didn't even get into the manufactured spending, but that's kind of, again, if you know type stuff. So, of course, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel, as we're posting content just like this every single week. Of course, right back every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And of course, every single day over on ProfitableContent.com. The channel's blog, which, as we said, has the latest news stories, plenty of bank promotions, and credit card offers. Everything you need to do to get started with a few immaterial dollars. And, come back, let me know how you did by the end of the year. I'd love to hear from you every time. Make me proud. Earn all that you can. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for this one. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.